BeastNet podcast, sponsored in part by James Safety Services, OCR Buddy, and supported by the fitness community. Here we discuss all things fitness related, running, rucking, mental health and preparedness, and of course, obstacle course racing. Welcome to the BeastNet.
Welcome back to BeastNet podcast.
Yeah.
How's everything been going for you? It's been a while since you've been on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been almost like 2 years, almost to the day, right? Or maybe a month out, but pretty much exactly 2 years. So yeah, it's been, well, everything's different, obviously now.
Yeah,
so.
It has.
But yeah, it's been going well. I'm really glad to be back in racing and back doing things again. That's kind of the important parts. So.
Yes. How did you get through the first half of the COVID, the pandemic, when there was no racing going on? What'd you do to kind of keep yourself occupied?
Well, in Canada, racing only started 2 months ago, so not even the first half. But but yes, for the first half, I became very, very active in virtual races. It kind of became my life. I did at least 1 or 2 a week. I had my training partner, and we were allowed, even when we were in Canada, we were pretty locked down in BC, but he resides alone, so we were able to continue exercising together. We were allowed to be outside, so we hiked, we ran. We just did whatever we could outdoors and did as many virtual challenges. I think I did at least, I have a box of medals from the virtual challenges. I think I did 25 or so.
That's awesome. That's awesome though. It kept you going and kept you training. How has racing been going now that it started back up in Canada? How's that going for you?
It was good. Racing only started in September, but through the pandemic, I was able to do some endurance events. Where I went to one a year ago, one of the first thing allowed and one of the first ones allowed. I was able to do an 8-hour endurance with Swanson grits. And then I did 2 hurricane heats, and then we had a big gap again.
Yeah.
So, but now that I'm back, I raced I'm one of very, very few Canadians who I have technically 3 trifectas for 2021 because I got one in 2020, but I'm one of very few who we had 2 trifecta weekends and I was able to complete them all. And I competed in the Canadian National Series, and I ended up, just mostly because I was able to get to both of the ones in the race series. I came in first in my age group and then second overall for women in the age group, not in elite. I didn't race elite this year. I felt I hadn't quite gotten back up to where I was, so I stuck with the age group. I got 2 bronze medals, not in the national series, but I still placed top 10 in the national in each race. So that was something. And
that's awesome. Where were the 2 trifecta weekends at for Canada?
One was in Red Deer, Alberta, which I've been staying outside. I normally live in Vancouver, but I spent the months of the summer in Vernon, BC, in the interior to train with actually a person who was my cryptea for the hurricane heats. He and his partner and some other people opened up a facility, like a gym, and I was able to do some outdoor training things. So I moved actually to be able to do that more regularly with them. And so Red Deer, Alberta was this only 7-hour drive from where I've been staying. So that was really good. And then, so that was the trifecta weekend with the Super as the national series. And then I was in Blue Mountain, Ontario for the second trifecta weekend. That was 2 weeks. That was October 23rd. So it's 3 weeks ago now that we did that. That's a 5-hour flight. So that was a bit more intense to get to.
Yeah, just a little bit more. How did it feel to be back out on the race course, running the Spartans and doing those trifecta weekends?
It was great to be out there and see all the people I hadn't seen in a while, but at the same time, it made me realize that as much as I've been training and my strength was there, actually, it was great that the time that I spent at Swanson Mountain Fitness, my grip, I had never done as well on the obstacles. I didn't fail very much. Very few burpees. It was great. But my running, I had sort of neglected that. So what I felt was, wow, I really need to get my running back up there. That's my goal now. That's
your goal now. Have they announced next year's season yet for Spartans or anything like that? They just kind of dropped some of it today for the US.
Yeah, I'm a Spartan Canada ambassador, so I have some inside info. I know some of the locations. They have released 3 races only, mostly in Ontario so far. I do know that they're going to have Red Deer again. It's a favorite. There will be a BC race, and then there's going to be some other. There's going to be 6 locations this year, and they've announced 3 of them.
That's awesome. Yay. Yay
Yeah.
for racing getting back to normal a little bit.
And also we will be able to go back down to the States. So I'm excited to finally get back with the team and be able to do Seattle and Montana and those. I particularly love going to California for the races. So I'm really excited when that'll be possible for me.
That's awesome. I noticed on the list today that Montana is now a trifecta weekend, which that's incredible. And then they moved the Seattle race to, I think, August.
It's the same weekend that Portland used to be.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's now the weekend that Seattle used to be. Very interesting, but
yeah, that's how I thought too. I'm like, well, wait a second here. Why?
It could be because Seattle actually was a conflict with one of the other Canadian races. And I think they might have shifted it because they're the same, a lot of the same people. It was a bit of a challenge. So they haven't announced all of the Canadian weekends yet, but I think that could be it.
Awesome.
I'm not for sure, but
not totally
my theory,
sure.
just a theory.
The endurance events that you did, what type? The hurricane heats are pretty self-explanatory if you know Spartan, but the other one that you did, what was that one like, and what was that? How was links and stuff?
There was it's I missed the first of the series. It was part of the Sagittas series, and so we had the same as if anyone did the there's a few in Washington. I can't remember their races anymore, but they had a short program and a long. I chickened out of the long and just did the short. He said it was supposed to be 5 or 6 hours, but they said be there early. And so I got there early because I'm afraid I'd get lost, and you start working immediately carrying logs. Until everybody arrived, till the official start time, we had to carry logs. So it ended up being 8 hours long. And well, I was there for about 8 hours, and there was a lot of carrying heavy things, teamwork. It was really well done because it was still the time of distancing and all of that. So we had, for example, we had to come in with equipment just like a hurricane heat, and we had to have 2 meters or 6 feet paracord. And we had to, so for anything where we might possibly be near each other, we had to have attached paracord to our front and the back of somebody else. And that wasn't allowed to drop. You had to make sure that you were keeping it tight. So, and if it dropped, it was burpees or, a penalty.
That's a great way to keep that distance and make it more of a challenge versus like, sorry, you guys have to keep that. That's a great way to include that challenge. That's fantastic.
It really was. Yeah. And with one of the hurricane heats, there was something similar. And we had to have 2 meter long piping, and we had to keep one pressed against our chest. And if it fell, if we got too far apart, well, we couldn't get closer than that. So it was fun, creative ways.
That is definitely fun and creative. What was the trifecta weekend like, the last one that you did? How did that go? Was it Beast Sprint Super, or how did they plan it out, and how do you feel like you did with it?
Well, both of the 2 that I did were different. The first one, it was the super because there was national series on the Saturday. Then on the Sunday we had the sprint and then the Beast. And by the time I got to the Beast, because the venue, they're trying to fit in a Beast and the venue isn't really set up to have a Beast. It was 2 laps of the super with an extra section added in. We got to skip some obstacles, and then they added more in a different area. But honestly, because it was 2 loops, it's almost like an ultra. I got an idea of how my mindset would go with an ultra, and that I really wanted to stop before doing the second loop. After doing the sprint, it really felt like I had done an ultra that day, because having the sprint before, I was trying to push. I did end up with the 3rd in the sprint, but I was pushing to try for time. And I felt okay in the sprint. Again, I didn't, I had no, well, I say I had no penalties, but I just don't count spear throw. So I technically had burpees, but it was spear throw. It doesn't count to me. But so I did well in the sprint. I felt good going into the beast. And then within the first few miles of the beast, I was like, I feel everything cramped and I felt awful. So I just decided I was going to just enjoy it and play with the obstacles, because some of my favorite obstacles are in the beasts. So I ended up coming across a friend who had been injured. So I said, you know what, I just stayed with her. We took our time and just focused on obstacle completion and had a good time with that. And just, you know, doing them, making sure we weren't rushing and then failing something.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel great with the running piece. I was struggling with asthma, I was struggling with cramping. But I felt really great about the obstacles. And that was the key thing was, okay, I got through a beast with, I took one because of the cramping on the box. It was a penalty loop. I chose to do the penalty loop. And I think there's one other that I struggled with. So I think it was Twister. Yeah, I didn't get Twister because it was damp. It was raining, and I don't know, whenever it's raining, I fall apart on that kind of obstacle. I don't know. But yeah, so I felt good. And actually after just past the halfway and that turnaround point, I started to feel a lot better. I was with my friend. I always say I run on maple power, and I had two maple packets, and I actually felt great. So then I ran the second half and felt pretty good.
That's awesome.
Even though it was after, we're at, I don't know how the end, like all the kilometers already been done.
Yeah.
I felt okay finishing. Yeah. And then the next Trifecta weekend 3 weeks ago, that was in Blue Mountain, Ontario at a ski hill. It had all the elevation. In the end, it was just in the Trifecta weekend, there was just over 11,000 feet of elevation.
Whew.
So I thought it was about 6,200 feet, but I was told it was closer to 6,800 feet for the beast. And the order of that was beast and then beast super sprint. So it was decreasing length, and the beast was the Canadian National Series. And actually I felt great in that. I did fail Twister again for I missed the bell, which of course is incredibly frustrating, and Olympus with their new slippery wall. And that used to be my favorite obstacle, but now it's getting to me. But I had a good race. I felt really great with it, actually. With that, there was no cramping. The hills started to get a little draining up and down.
Yeah.
And then it was good though.
Is there any temptation to do an ultra after basically doing one?
I had intended to, actually, just not one in Canada, because the beasts here are known for being torturous. I've done Tahoe, I've done Big Bear. I haven't done Montana, but I've done the big ones with big elevations, and honestly, they're nothing compared to the Canadian beasts. It's rough.
Yeah.
So now, I'd like to do a US. I'd like to do an ultra. I'm like Dallas.
Dallas is like, that is on my bucket list of races. I did a sprint there and I loved it. Now I want to do an ultra there, but haven't made it yet. Getting there. I went to Kimberly a few years ago, and that sprint alone just walloped me. I was done on that one. So the elevations and the trails, they're no joke. So
the worst one I've ever done was Owl's Head, which is in Quebec. And that I did in 2019, and we had, I think, 7,200 feet of elevation in the beast. The sprint had almost 2,000 feet, I believe.
So it was goodness.
And that one, the sprint was on the Friday evening, then the beast was Saturday morning. So it was crazy.
Oh my gosh. Are you done for the year, or do you have any more races, or how's that kind of going out?
Yeah, unfortunately I am done for the year for OCR, because we didn't, we still, it's still iffy to travel with getting back to Canada. They are now saying we don't have to get the test as of the end of this month. It just came out today. So
Ooh.
I'm hoping to do something, maybe one in December, but I think my first would be something in January in California.
Something. Yeah.
I mean, I have virtual races. I
Yeah.
have the X-Warrior Beaver Challenge. So it's Beaver Ultra. It's supposed to be 50K, but my friend and I are splitting and just doing 25 each. And we're doing it as a ruck because we tend to like rucking. And yeah.
Oh,
I've been
that's
doing a lot
awesome.
of rucking. That's my other side thing. So.
Yeah. Have you done any of the Go Ruck stuff? Are they up there in Canada or?
I went to Seattle for one. Just actually, it was only a few weeks or a month before everything shut down. Yeah, it was January 2020. I went and did one there.
And how was that? Did you really
It was
enjoy
great.
it?
There was a group of us beasts that did it. We had a blast running around Seattle. I hadn't explored Seattle much. So it was a great way for me to see Seattle. Basically ran around all of it.
Was it one of the star courses or?
It was, yeah. So then it was more about tourists, really.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of pictures from that, and it seems like everybody there has fun because it's it's a treasure hunt pretty much, and
yeah, exactly.
A long
it was great. Yeah, I did just this past weekend. My friends and I, I'm a noon ambassador, and there was a noon ambassador race and a half marathon, and instead of running, which again I'm struggling with it a little bit, so we decided, my friends and I rucked it. We did it as a ruck without an added elevation.
That's
it only
awesome.
became a ruck because my friend did it carrying her 4-year-old the entire time.
That is definitely a ruck.
Yeah, I just added my plates in, and yeah, it was great.
With your running and struggling with it, I know a lot of people struggle with running. Is it just not the conditioning, or where's your struggle in it?
I used to be good. It used to be my thing. Actually, it's just this summer. I've been in the interior of BC, and we had all the wildfires. So we were in the smoke and I have asthma and I couldn't be outside very much. So I would train in the gym as much as I could, but I just wasn't able. First we had the extreme heat, so it was too hot to run. And then it was the smoke. It was a lack of ability to do it.
Understandable. That's completely understandable. So did you move permanently into the interior, or is that kind of just temporary?
It's a half, it's a back and forth. My business is kind of based here. And then I'm here for the training. I've found some really great people to help coach me and get me stronger. And so I spend as much time here as I can, but my husband is still in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver. And so I am trying to be there, but actually with the floods, he came up for the Remembrance Day, your Veterans Day, but the long weekend. And with the floods, he's now stranded here. He can't get back to our other place. So
I was going to ask how did that kind of affect you guys? I've seen the pictures, and I know I live out on the Olympic Peninsula in Washington. So I'm like across from Victoria, and we have communities that are landlocked right now. So
yeah. We're trapped. You can't get, the Lower Mainland's actually trapped. It seems like we're trapped from going there, but I could go north or east at least, but I can't, my husband can't get back to our main house. And I'm supposed to be back there for the holidays and through December.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I'm supposed to commute back and forth. But again, my business is based closer to where I am now. And I'm enjoying the gym that I'm going to, and just, it's a really active lifestyle here. Like everybody is, you move here for the outdoor activity.
So. That's awesome. How is it training with like a coach and having a group of people to like fully train with? How's that been for you mentally?
It's not exactly a coach. Like, I call it Coach Lorraine and Coach Ryan. I mean, Ryan is the Cryptea, and he's been great. Like, he was great. We were doing some SGX, like the Spartan classes for a while, just outdoor stuff, but with the smoke, it made it harder. So he was sending me things to do, but the gym, Swanson Mountain Fitness they're largely a kettlebell gym, but Lorraine, one of the owners and the person that I work out with the most, she's top in kettlebell, but she also is into OCR. And so she knew, and I knew her through racing, and we have mutual friends in racing. So she's kind of helped me out, and she's amazing at OCR. She's actually, I think she came in the top for the national series too. And so she's been really, helping encourage me to put up the weights and make sure I come. It makes it fun to go in consistently too, even though it's not specifically OCR training, that grip training from holding kettlebells and sandbags. We do a lot of sandbag work. So that was during the races, I was able to run with the sandbags and run with the buckets, versus in the past, I would just trudge along like everyone else.
Yeah.
Now I could blow now I can blow past people. I can be struggling and miss a grip obstacle, or something, my running. I noticed actually during the races that when my running was kind of failing, I could still catch up because my grip was stronger. So I'd make the obstacles. I'd be able to run with the sandbag or like walk at a faster pace than I would before, because it's been really great having people who know about obstacle course racing be at a facility, because that it isn't in BC. It's not really, obstacle course racing isn't really known yet. We're still not, it's not a thing. It's whenever I say I do obstacle course racing, they're like, what is that? Like, oh, I do Spartan racing. They're like, well, is that like Tough Mudder? I'm like, yes, they own Tough Mudder now. But, it's just not huge here. So finding a place that I can go. And there's still not that many of us at that gym, but there was enough that there was classes, there were, and there's, some instruction on how to get better. It's been helpful for me.
That's awesome. Are you seeing, like, obviously the COVID kind of like put a kink in, everything, but prior to that, and even now, are you starting to see like the obstacle course racing growing in Canada a little bit, or is it still just kind of working its way there?
It had been, and then with the pandemic, it kind of slowed it a bit. Like I've been trying to keep the word out there and posting things, and trying as a Spartan Canada ambassador, I'm trying to get it out there. But in Ontario, the eastern parts of Canada, it is a lot more prominent. And even just there's certain regions, there's pockets of it. I was into, before I was doing the Ninja Warrior stuff, ninja training was starting to become much more popular, much more common. That's taking off. And there's a lot of overlap between that and obstacle course racing. So it's kind of getting those ninja facilities to say, well, why don't you're great at this. Why don't you try Spartan too? And actually, I did bump into somebody I knew from the ninja competitions on course in the Red Deer Beast. Or it was the Super. So I'm just, we're like, hey, we're at the start line together. And we actually finished around each other too. It's like, oh, great.
That's awesome.
Cheering each other on in the obstacles. Because that ninja crossover, it is great that people are getting out there. I don't know if she had been doing Spartan before I talked to her about it and was posting stuff too. So
that's fantastic.
Trying.
Is it mainly like just Spartan and Tough Mudder up in Canada? Or are there even like littler ones that are kind of popping up here and there?
We have Rugged Maniac. That's what got me into it, actually, was Rugged Maniac. That's my favorite. We have Mud Hero in the east, which I've done a little bit. There's a lot more in the east. Again, BC and Alberta, and then the prairies don't really have many, which is unfortunate. Mud Hero used to come here, but there wasn't enough sign up. There's so many in the US that I wish would come up. We used to have Battle Frog, I believe. That was before that ended just before I got into it, really. So I think that's kind of it.
That's kind of it.
I mean, we have Northman race in the east, which is one I've been really wanting to do. But I just know the east has a lot more training. They actually have more an actual formal OCR. So it's like OCR Unlimited is a brand of clothing from Canada. And they really are big on promoting OCR, but they're again based in the east. And I know that they do OCR unedited. They're podcast too, and it's getting things out there. It's getting known. But again, it's not as much carryover here in BC. Unfortunately.
It seems like even in the US, like the East Coast, I went over and did a race in the spring on the East Coast, and they have so many races like within that area that the further west you get, it seems a little bit more sporadic. And at least in the US, like the distance in the East Coast, like for me, I was in South Carolina with a friend and we drove to Mississippi in like 8 hours. And I'm like, That's how long it takes to get across my state. So it's
Yeah.
like that traveling is a little bit more difficult on the West Coast. And I've noticed it's slowly picking up over here. And hopefully in Canada, it starts doing the same thing.
I hope so.
It's such a great thing to do. I love it. I miss it. And I'm hoping that it gets back to normal,
I hope so.
How was the festival like area? How did they manage that in Canada?
Actually, this was the festival area in Canada has always been actually a little bit limited. But this year, the festival area in Ontario was actually the best one I've seen for Spartan, even in compared to US. They did an amazing job of finding local vendors. We had amazing, like they had a local brewery. They had a company called Wakewater, which is club, so like a seltzer. You guys, Americans, like seltzer with caffeine. They had these snack clusters that are nuts, and I wish I could remember the name of them. They were amazing. They brought in a bunch of local companies as to provide snacks and just to be out there. And at the finisher, you got a packet of snacks, you got a can of water, and you got your beer. It was really great. So
that's fantastic.
And so they managed it though, but each booth was a little distanced. Before coat check in Canada used to be you'd hand them your coat. Now they've adopted the US version where you get a tag that you put on you and a tag on your bag and go in and hang your own bag. Yeah, which I think is great. It gets rid of the lines, which is helpful anyway.
Yeah, it is.
The beer garden was there wasn't one in Red Deer. Well, there was sort of, but it wasn't actually beer. We had the athletic brewing. Both of them had athletic brewing though, which was nice to have that option actually. That non-alcoholic beer that's been out. Yeah, and so the beer gardens were spread out. There was lines. But since it's all outdoors, we didn't have to wear masks. One of the races, actually, Blue Mountain, the registration was indoors because it was raining, kind of snowing. It was just really cold and disgusting out. Yeah. So they moved it into a building. So we had to do the masks and distance, and they only let a certain number of people in at a time, which was great.
Yeah.
Again, it just felt better organized than it had before too. So maintaining distance, so it was good. But yeah, our festival, there was music, there was a lot of mud. It was very, very, very muddy.
Yeah.
To be expected with a mud race. So.
Right. True. Very true. That's awesome that it felt normal. I know here it's been kind of limited, as to how many people can be in, and
yeah. I mean, it was limited, but Canada has always been a little limited. It's been hard to get vendors to the festival areas. So to me, it was actually an improvement on the Canadian ones. And it was basically reminded, it was fewer vendors, but more than it had. It was sort of like Seattle.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That same sort of spacing, giving you room, and yeah, but it was good. There was never a ton of people around. But again, Canadian races, they're smaller, so there never is anyway.
Yeah. With this next year, you said you got 3 trifectas this year, with the one from 2020 counting. What are you looking at next year for racing? Do you have a goal in mind?
I'm really not sure yet. I would like to do at least 4 of the 6 Canadian race weekends, plus Seattle, Montana, and hopefully 1 or 2 California, but I am trying to reduce my travel a little bit. I want to tie them in. Like with Canadian races, I can tie it in with work because I work across Canada, so it can be a business trip. With American races, the US races, it's a little bit harder, but Seattle driving distance, Montana's driving distance.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, so with that, I hope to get maybe 3 or 4 trifectas. We kind of have to see how it goes. I am doing World's Toughest Mudder next year because I deferred from this year. So I'm planning to do some tough mudders. I will still be doing some endurance stuff, like the local endurance by Swanson Grid. If they put any out, like anything put on by my gym, I'll do whatever they have. I'm hoping to find, I'm signed up for Mud Hero on the East Coast in Halifax. Again, deferred from this year, so I get to go stay with my mom, not to visit my mom, and to get to do a race. So
that's awesome.
Nice. Yeah,
that is awesome.
So I'm hoping to do more of the smaller ones and keep it more local and find some, I mean, yes, of course, get Spartan trifectas because that's fun, but I want to try a few other things and explore. I also want to do a few more X-Warrior there. Actually, that is a big one just in Alberta. And I know though a lot of the Beast team members have come up for, a few of them have, because they're so I hope to do more of those. That's kind of my plan.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have one member who that's like his number one thing. He's like, if you're gonna go do something, go do that one. And he like absolutely excited about it. So I was like, oh, that's right. That's what I thought. That's awesome.
Yeah.
With all of that, and you're kind of figuring out your race schedule, is there anything else that you're looking forward to with this next year with racing and everything that it entails?
Mostly I want to get back to see everybody and just be back out there. That's really all it is being back and trying, seeing how well. And I think with the training I'm doing, I think that I'll be able to, I think I should be able to push even better than I had in 2019. 2019, I did great. It was my year. And I just kind of want to try and get back to at least sort of where I was there.
Yeah.
Get back out.
Are you going to just stay in age group, or are you going to try to go elite?
I have run some elite. I have done elite a few times. I think it just kind of depends on how my training goes between now and then. I think I would like to do some elite, at least in Canada. I think I will race. I'm going to aim to race mostly elite in Canada. Again, if my running gets back up there, I didn't feel I had intended to this year. But I then, with my inability to train running, I just wasn't there. I was on the fence. The day of race, I dropped to age group from elite actually. So but I think I'll be back there. I should be able to, at least in Canada. Just knowing the terrain here better, because I know.
You did really well this year, and that's a fantastic accomplishment to do everything that you did this year with the short race span that you guys had due to everything that was going on. So that's super exciting, and I can't wait to see how you do in this next year, and hopefully be able to see you at some point.
I know that's I hope to get down there and be
it's nice knowing that the borders are opening back up, so that we can interact with each other again and have that race family back together.
That has been one of the hardest things, is I see all my US race family, doing things and being able to meet up, and I go, oh, I missed that gathering, or I missed that race, or I missed that, training session with everybody.
Yeah.
I hope I can get back to it. I'm really excited for that.
On social media, is there any place where people can follow you, or do you have?
I have. I have my Instagram. Actually, I'll show with my dog Parlay. So my Instagram is Beast Mel OCR with underscores, Beast_Mel_OCR.
Okay.
And it's me in my obstacle racing but also hiking and rucking adventures with Parlay. And
that's awesome.
Things we do together. Parlay and I have a YouTube channel of me. Again, it's also Beast Mel and Parlay. And it's Parlay, me teaching Parlay. He does an obstacle course. I teach him how to do burpees. It was at the start of the pandemic, my mom was quite upset at times, stressed out. And so I made these videos of me and the dog to cheer her up and just put them out, just to have positive content out there on the internet.
That's so awesome. We could always use more positive content on the internet for sure. And you're going to be meeting back up with the Beast OCR here, hopefully here soon, which is fantastic. Thank you for coming on, Mel. It's so great to catch up with you and hear how things are going in Canada, since we haven't had that interactions these last year and a half. Like I said, thanks for coming on, and I can't wait to see you hopefully here in this next year, and good luck with training and getting back to that running.
Thanks. And again, I just have to give a shout out to my gym though, because I said I got the Swanson Mountain Fitness in Armstrong, BC. And then also one to OCR Unlimited and OCR Unedited. They're just companies that support me. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. I just really think they're people who are really getting both those organizations are getting OCR out there and getting people out there. So
oh, definitely got to give the shout outs to them, because that's how you get OCR to continue to grow, as people start doing research and checking it out. So yay for the shout outs, and hope you have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too. Thanks so much. And nice seeing you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.